What is going on in LA right now? This almost looks like last year. Remember they had the wildfires, which Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom handled horribly? Now we're in for another summer of love. This is just the beginning. Recently, ICE began its deportation effort along with the Trump administration taking place in Los Angeles. And this is now about to be day 5 of the city going crazy. There's been a lot going on, but I think that this video gives a pretty good timeline and recap of what's been happening in California. Let's check it out.
And welcome back to Eyewitness News. I'm Jory Rand, live in our Eyewitness Newsroom as we continue to cover breaking news in downtown Los Angeles. Unrest throughout the day. Tonight's violence and confrontation we have been seeing play out since Friday. Mayor Karen Bass just expressed on our air she thinks none of this would be happening were it not for an ICE operation Friday in a Home Depot parking lot. 72 hours of unrest in LA County. We have now seen 3 days of clashes between protesters and authorities. It sparked Friday when federal agents descended upon a Home Depot in Westlake. ICE officials say they were there to arrest violent criminals who are in this country illegally. The agents met almost immediately with resistance. At one point, a person stepping in front of a federal vehicle trying to stop them.
So ICE went to a Home Depot, I'm guessing early in the morning, to catch these violent newcomers. And that's what sparked all of this. And in my opinion, if you're early 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning at a Home Depot, that tells me that maybe you don't have your papers. Maybe you're not legal. And if you're not legal, well, when did you come into the country? How long have you been here? Did you come here in the last 4 years? Have you been here for many years, quote unquote, trying to get your papers? Because that's what they're saying now. They're finding people that have been in the country 20, 30 years. And their excuse is they've been working on getting their paperwork. Now, this is a federal vehicle right here. And look at this smart specimen in front of the vehicle, thinks that he could stop it just himself. I guess that he's the Incredible Hulk or something. Let's see what happens.
To stop them, the driver kept going, causing the man to fall backwards onto the pavement, nearly running the man over. Search warrants were served in 3 different locations Friday, and people who know those arrested describe them simply as good, hardworking people.
He's no criminal, no nothing. He's nice people.
Just works hard.
Yeah, he's working good and nice people. Family, he have.
I'm not gonna lie, yo. I'm impressed. His English isn't bad. You know, he's working from his T-shirt, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that he is legally in this country. And that's all that we're asking people to do. Come to the country legally. I'm a first generation American, son of immigrants. They came to the country legally. And, you know, for whatever reason, they still got people that came to the country the right way. They still got them afraid that they're going to be deported somehow. All right, I was speaking with my mom. She was going to look for a new car, so we were driving around to some dealerships together. And we were having a conversation. A couple topics came up. Deportation was one of them. And she was telling me that, you know, I got to be careful because I could be deported. If ICE comes and snatches me up, I could be. And I'm just looking at her like, I know you can't be serious. You cannot be being serious right now. You can't be this ignorant. You can't be this full of the mainstream media that you believe black Americans. Okay, my parents are from 2 different countries that they had citizenship in before they came to America. I have never had citizenship in either one of those countries. How would I be deported? Where would I be deported to? You know, but she's holding steadfast like, no, you could be deported. You could be sent somewhere. And I just want to know where. Were they going to send Americans to Venezuela?
Yeah, working every day.
The clashes continued Saturday, beginning in Paramount near another Home Depot, but it was a nearby DHS facility that was being used as an ICE staging ground that drew the crowd. Federal and local law enforcement clashing with protesters in the streets. Federal officials had their windows shattered by projectiles, a car lit on fire in the middle of Atlantic and Alondra during a standoff that lasted more than 12 hours. Then, back in LA, once the sun went down, agents in riot gear forcing everyone to the intersection of Alameda and Temple. Some of the protesters leaving the area, others not.
Yo, why do they always look like this? Always. You know, out of shape. Don't look athletic at all. Look at how they running. Okay, look at how
protesters
he's running. Does that look like an athlete? That looks like a D1 athlete to you? Wearing a mask. COVID's been over for at least, what now, 4 years? But yet these people, every time they show up to one of these protests, even if it's in the middle of the day, a beautiful LA day, they still wearing masks and wearing hoodies and all black and covered up. Why is that? No matter when I see these people, whether it's at a BLM protest, it's at a Free Palestine protest, it's at one of these ICE protests, they always are dressed the same. You know, it's kind of reminiscent of Antifa a few years ago, where they're wearing the all black, they're wearing the helmets, they're wearing the shades, they're wearing masks, doing anything to conceal their identities.
The LAPD declaring an unlawful assembly, and President Trump moving to federalize 2,000 members of the
Look, another mask. Look, another mask. Another mask. Why are they wearing masks?
Federalize 2,000 members of the California National Guard. That leads us to today.
Another one. Look. Her face was wrapped in a scarf.
Us to today. More violent clashes citywide as more than 1,000 protesters went face to face with law enforcement in downtown once again.
More masks. More masks. Middle of the day. Why are all these young people, why aren't they at work? Aren't most young people like age, I say about 22 to about 55? Isn't that mainly working age range? And let me say, I commend the law enforcement agencies that are working with what they have to do what they have to do, because I know that they're being purposely understaffed. I know that or in my mind, in my opinion, the governor, mayor, police chief, and everyone were in cahoots to have the police understaffed that first Saturday and Sunday. And then Trump gave a few threats that he was going to be sending in the National Guard and the Marines. And all of a sudden, you know, the gaslighting begins with Karen Bass and Newsom, where they're saying there's no need for all of that. People are peacefully protesting. There's no violence in the city or anything like that. So then if the federal government says, hey, I'm going to send in the military, send in martial law or something like that, then he'll look like the bad guy.
This time with National Guard soldiers on hand guarding the federal building and complex. Protesters shutting down the 101 freeway, setting fire to 5 Waymo cars, and throwing rocks, concrete, even electric scooters onto CHP vehicles still parked on the 101. Several people getting into physical confrontations with police. LA Mayor Karen Bass didn't hold back in expressing her disappointment in how the Trump administration is handling this situation, saying it is the federal government that is stoking this weekend's violence.
I was hoping to prevent this situation from happening. I was trying to encourage the administration that if they deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles, it would create a sense of chaos.
I don't know how people can take her seriously as the mayor of Los Angeles. Like, if the wildfires didn't just take place last year, where there was no water when they went to some of those hydrants. You had Governor Newsom shutting down the water flow. They leaving debris and down trees and leaves and all of that in the forest, because the tree huggers, no, God forbid you cut down the trees. They're just leaving a whole bunch of accelerant for the wildfires and then wondering how it happened. And this is the mayor. And she's getting on here acting as if she cares about the people of Los Angeles. Seriously? No, she just sees the newcomers as votes And since they're seeing that they're starting to lose a lot of their voter base, they need a new one.
I just have to say that if you dial back time and go to Friday, if immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. I will tell you that it is peaceful now, but we do not know where and when the next raids will be. That is the concern, because people in the city have a rapid response network. If they see ICE, they go out and they protest. And so it's just a recipe for pandemonium that is completely unnecessary. Nothing was happening here. Los Angeles was peaceful before Friday.
Mayor Bass brings up a good point. And I don't think it only extends as far as Los Angeles. I think the whole country is watching, if you're in support of the visitors staying here forever, that you're watching what's happening in Los Angeles, because you know that Los Angeles is just the beginning. After Los Angeles, they move to Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Chicago. They start moving to all of these sanctuary cities and towns. I think the bigger takeaway for all of them is that this is actually happening. It's taking place, you know, and you see my hat. This is what I voted for. All over the social medias, they keep on showing people and kids rounded up, or kids crying as their parents are being taken away from them. And, they're really trying to tug at your heartstrings. And I say, this is what I voted for. CNN released this piece that I have a clip from, and it's talking about Trump's approval rating pertaining to the deportation efforts. Okay, and this is CNN. Let's get to it.
You know, if we just take a look at the baseline numbers here, this is Trump's net approval rating on immigration. It's gone up like a rocket. Compare now versus 8 years ago during Trump's first term. Look at this. In his first term, Trump was way, way, way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up over 20 points. Now, in the aggregate, he is in positive territory at plus 1 point on his net approval rating. Some other polls even have it a little bit higher than that. There is no issue on which Trump is doing so much better than he was in his first term, more than the issue of immigration. No wonder the Times has written up the way that he is. Trump is begging for a fight on this because he knows what he's doing so far is working with the American electorate.
Where does immigration rank on issues for him? How is he doing compared to others?
Yeah, so I think what's so important is it is his top issue so far. And the reason it is his top issue is because take a look at the individual nuggets in here. Why are people approving of Trump on immigration? Approve of these different immigration actions. Well, Trump's administration's program to deport those here illegally. Look at this, 54% approval. How about agents searching your hometown for those that they think are here illegally? Again, positive territory here, above 50% for Donald Trump. So it's not just on the broad issue of immigration where Trump is doing well. It's on the specifics. When you dive into the issues, Trump is above 50% and his actions are above 50%.
And listen, this is the left, one of the heavy establishments against Trump, reporting on these numbers. So I'm willing to bet that these numbers are even higher than what they're reporting, which means that Americans are happy and agree with the deportation efforts, regardless if you have these paid actors in the middle of the day taken to the streets, causing mayhem and destruction. Okay, it shows me that the actual American people agree with what's going on. We don't want these people here. If you want to come here, come legally, come the right way. All right, the doors are open for everyone. But if not, I think Trump is trying to make a heavy contention at going after Obama's legendary deportation numbers. Because remember, Barack Obama deported more illegal newcomers than any other president. And I think Trump is trying to go down as maybe the deporter in chief when it's all said and done. The only difference is their approaches. Barack Obama was able to do it a lot more subtle. All right, a lot more under the radar. Whereas Trump is going to be like, I'm going to deport you and I'm sending you back and we're rounding you up and we're sending in ICE and we're going after you and going to get you out of here. You know, Obama didn't handle it like that. You know, he wouldn't even address it, not even talk about it. You know, just take care of business behind the scenes. And, you know, maybe that's why he didn't get the flack that President Trump gets. But also remember, Barack Obama didn't have to go up against the mainstream media. The media loved Obama. As far as Trump, I mean, anything that he does, they're going to spin it and say the opposite. But shout out to them for at least getting this correct, that Americans are happy with the administration and doing what they said they would do. Promises made, promises kept. Now the ICE protests are supposedly making their way through the country. This is some footage from New York City where they have a small gathering of protesters, and in the coming months, we're only going to see these protests start to ramp up, especially as ICE continues to get their work done. And hey, I'm here to support it. All right, these people are losers. I don't know how you could be out in the middle of the daytime, again, working age people, always hiding their identity. Everyone has the right to have their voices heard, you know, to gather peacefully, to protest, and not have to worry about any, repercussion from the government or anything like that. But once you start destroying property, I think that it's starting to go off of the deep end.